And
Here we are, and do you see that? On top of Youri Landsmann's name, what kind of deck does he have there?
He is playing stun, guys. We have already again scouted the best decks for you guys, and this one is a throwback to the past. Not
It
because
absolutely is.
he's playing cards like Dragoonities, which were released ages ago. No. No.
Something quite different. A different approach for sure than that. We see some Gravekeeper's Commander, really old card, or Commandant rather, then Fossil Dyna Pachycephalosaurus. That's actually...
Fossil Dyna is really, really cool. We have tacked in some new cards like Kashtira Fenrir. We have Inspector Border as well, and we also have a card that I'm not the biggest fan of, but it has found its way into many main decks, Offerings to the Doomed.
Indeed, yeah. So some pretty interesting stuff. Very certainly a deck that wants to win the die roll, because there are quite a few trap cards in his deck. He's running cards such as Solemn Judgment, so he would have certainly preferred to win the die roll here. That wasn't happening because Lukas Ramdegger won the die roll and is starting things off here with his Ishizu Tearlaments deck.
So Kid Color summoned, Search effect activated.
Searching for Tearlaments Crime makes sense because he already has Basilic in graveyard, so there's probably no other trap he could search for.
Rhino and Crime is a really strong start against such a deck.
Absolutely. That's what okay, you would be able to search for another Salik because he's actually running double Salik, so that would be possible, yeah, quite an interesting choice.
It is a good mill.
For sure it is, yeah, but usually people have been cutting on the Saliks, just running 1 and 1 Crime, so you have the diversity in trap cards. Well, let's see what he's milling here. We are going for the mill 8 play. That is very commonly seen in the Ishizu Tearlaments deck. The combination of Merly and Kid Kalos adds up to 8 cards being milled. And let's see what we're triggering.
I think he might not activate Kelbeck because he does not know what his opponent is playing. Oh, this hand is a bit odd of Youri, as we have already seen. He has drawn the 1 of Ecclesia.
Yeah, fair enough. He's playing 2, to be fair, okay. but still, yeah, drawing that is not really the best case scenario. You much rather want to get your Nadir Servant to resolve and search it out from the deck, but that's not going to happen in that particular scenario here.
There we are seeing the Roll Colors, and I gotta be honest with you.
Roll Colors probably not going to do too much versus this deck, right?
No, he doesn't really play any card that special summons.
Yeah, that's not really his thing here in this tournament. Youri Landsmann solely relying on normal summoning big monsters and impactful monsters. I mean, there's one exception. You talked about it earlier, Kashtira Fenrir being the one he would special summon, but still, that is not something that could be stopped by Rokalos.
I mean, he has Crime, and he has, I think, Kaldor and Modora already set up in the GY, plus Paloreno, so I think you don't get a better opening versus Gravekeeper Dyna Stun.
Indeed, so we also have Keldo, discard Keldo, searching for another one. Probably going to go for Kelback here, yeah, we go for Kelback. So another card that's not so great because
great hand interaction.
This could theoretically bounce one of the Fenrirs that he's going to summon, but still, then he could just summon it back, so it's also not the best. You would have to wait until your opponent also summons another monster next to it. And look, I think he's probably going for Dweller here. He's scared of the mirror match. He summons out the Abyss Dweller, another card that's not very useful in this matchup. And I think this helped Youri to even get to this standing right now. A lot of people are expecting mirror matches all day long, and they are preparing for it in a certain way. And Youri just comes in here, playing a bunch of traps, and he starts it off with the Cosmic. So the Crime is not going to be a problem anymore.
That is really strong. What you could have also done is target the Palorino, because getting a pop in every single turn of the game from now on is going to be really, really strong.
Maybe he has double Cosmic Cyclone. That could be the case, because he is actually running triple in the main deck. So he just wants to go after both of them.
So you want to Crime that, right? You
Lukas,
really want to activate here.
Yes. You want to resolve one of your tier effects. Oh, he's actually discarding the Kelback.
I think he might want to activate it, yes, of course.
When you see that your opponent is... Okay, yeah, I mean, you have Dweller on top of it, so what your opponent is milling, even if he's on Ishizu Tearlaments, is not really mattering, because he's not going to be able to trigger it. And there he sees the new Solemn Judgment and Nadir's Servant, Offerings to the Doom. And Lukas' face when looking at the graveyard of Youri is like, what am I facing here? I haven't seen those cards for a while.
I'm really happy I won this dice roll.
Absolutely, yeah. That Solemn Judgment could have been quite cool going first.
And now you know you can just freely activate Agido as well.
Oh, did he? Oh, yeah, he milled the Agido
The one of Agido.
Absolutely. Let me see. Is he on one Agido only? I mean, you assume because, yeah, okay, you saw it. Yeah, he's also on one Agido. That seems to be the trend, the decision that a lot of players have made. Another Fenrir being milled, and as you can see, he is on triple Cosmic Cyclone, now milling the other two, so he has no immediate answer to the Pearl Rhino.
Haven is milled for Lukas, so I think he can trigger that one as well. And now we first of all resolve the Shiren.
Yes, indeed. But I think Youri's hand must be still okay-ish, right? Otherwise, I would have preferred him to just scoop, because you don't want to give your opponent the information that you're on that kind of a deck when you don't think you would be able to win game number one. So there must be some quite impactful cards in his hand still.
What he can do here is activate Necro Valley, have it popped, activate another Necro Valley if there is one, and then set Fossil Dynapachi Cephalosaur.
That could be the way.
Fossil Dynapachi Cephalo.
Yeah, that's the actual name of the card, you're right. So maybe double Necro Valley, and I mean there are multiple ways for him in his deck to get to Necro Valley, but I see offering, I think he doesn't have double Necro Valley, and he rather has double offerings to the Doom in his hand. So I don't know how this is going to...
Offerings to the Doom only destroys monsters, right?
Yes, indeed. And you have to skip your next draw phase for it.
But I think he has Commandant and Necro Valley. I think this
he does have Necro Valley.
Be answered with a Pearlorino pop via Modoro.
You have to, otherwise the Caldo and Modoro are just not working anymore. Yep, Lukas knows his things. He knows how to out this Necro Valley. He instantly responds and tries to get rid of the Necro Valley instantly. And I mean, that's going to be successful. That will be quite successful. But did you see that there is also Commandant in the hand of him? Because that would mean...
I don't know, yeah, that would mean a
that
second
he could
Necro
get
Valley.
a second Necro Valley.
And then setting the Fossil Dynapachi
That could be huge. That would be a way to actually get into the game-winning position here that he wants to have. Youri Landsman, maybe even going second with that kind of a trap deck, with that kind of a stun deck, is going to be able to pull this off. Surprising faces here on the screen, not really, but we see that he's now again reading up on the Pearl Rhino, and Pearl Rhino is just going to pop the Necro Valley, and what's next?
Oh, we have double offerings to the Doomed and Ecclesia. We have talked about the Ecclesia. Can you do something with the Ecclesia now?
Not really. I think
I would have special summon it.
He wants to get rid of the Sprite Elf first of all.
But honestly, the Dweller is quite good here, because once you get to like Nadir Servant or something, or send a monster from the X-Ray to the GY, you cannot use Entis.
It's awful. Yeah. It actually is stopping Nadir Servant to really be the powerful card it really is. So that's actually tough for Youri. Who would have thought that Abyss Dweller is putting in work versus stun? That's definitely not something to be expected.
What a good all-rounder card.
And that brings Youri to pick up his cards. Lukas Ramdegger taking game number one here in the 10th round feature match. 11th round it is. I'm very sorry.
11th round. Lukas just had the perfect answer to the stun deck that he had no idea he was going to face.
Absolutely not.
He just went for a pop on the Necro Valley, and before that...
Your brain apparently froze, but there was not even that much happening before that, to be honest.
Yeah, true.
There was one Cosmic Cyclone on the Crime, but that didn't
really, plus the pop.
Didn't really change a whole lot. But that's what I like about the Ishizu Tearlaments deck in general as well, because that field spell, that Pearl Rhino, is so good versus all the back row, versus all the rogue decks, because you can just constantly, basically every turn, trigger the pop effect of Pearl Rhino on your own turn, in your opponent's turn. Doesn't matter, the Ishizu cards just always make it live.
Dimensional barriers you use your Caldo, you use your Modora.
Doesn't matter. You can just work very well through back row, and you saw it right there. Necro Valley would be impactful like crazy. It would just totally stop the whole deck. But he could just instantly answer it. There was no way. But the thing is, because this field spell is so good, a lot of the Ishizu Tearlaments players have actually decided to not run a whole lot more back row removal in their side decks. So that could actually be helpful now for Youri when he finds like more stuff to side in his side deck now. And I'm just going to look what he's going to bring in here. We're seeing Dark Bribe. I think Dark Bribing a Pearl Rhino is actually worth it. You don't want to have that card resolve.
Yeah, I mean, you deny the search, so it is actually quite fine.
But then Thunder King Ryo could come in here, one of your all-time favorite cards.
Thunder King Ryo is really good. It also denies the search, however, it does not deny the pop after all.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
You could also, the tributing effect of Thunder King Ryo is not too good versus Tearlaments. I mean, it helps versus Exceed summons or Synchro summons of Baron, but we are going to see if any of those come in or happen in Game 2 of the Round 11 featured match. Let's go back to the players.
There we have them, game number 2 lining up, and I just looked at the deck list of Lukas, and he has made the decision to play additional back row removal.
Double Twin Twisters.
He is running the double Twin Twisters, which could be very helpful in this matchup.
But especially in this matchup, because you can discard the Kelbeck and Agido and you can just safely mill, and now the Gravekeeper's
Look at this beautiful old card.
A card that we haven't seen in ages, I want to say, was discarded to search for Necro Valley, so the Gravekeeper monsters of Youri gain 500 additional attack points.
Yep, not only does
And
it bring you to the best card in your deck, which is Necro Valley in this current format, but also when you are normal summoning another Gravekeeper's commander, it will be quite big, as you just mentioned. 2,100 attack points it would have after the boost, so kind of nice, kind of a big beater. And when your opponent's monsters are not doing anything because Necro Valley is on the board, then having a big beater can certainly help. So, and we are going with Prosperity after he just sees Necro Valley and Commandant again. There's Solemn Judgment, that could help. Fenrir is also great.
Oh, he does not even want the Fenrir. He might
Judgment.
actually have one already. He just wants to go for Judgment, and this is a good pickup.
Judgment is great. So the Twin Twisters in the world of Lukas would be worse.
Inspector Border, and this is indeed stun.
Oh yeah, this is stunning to see here from Youri Landsman. He's really piloting his stun deck to a really, really good start. And let's see what Lukas can even do versus that. In case you forgot what Inspector Border is doing, because it wasn't in the feature match area recently, this is just allowing each player to only resolve as many monster effects as different extra deck types are on the board. So if there's one Link monster, you could just use one effect per turn. So if there's a Link monster and a Synchro monster, it would add up to 2. True. But right now there's only non-extra deck monsters on the board, and therefore no monster effects can actually be activated.
I would have loved to see normal summon Inspector Border activate Card of Demise.
That would have been a flashback for sure.
But he's playing a lot of monsters in his decks, and also Dogmatica, Fleur de Lis, and those are cards that don't really pair up well with Card of Demise, so he decided to not take the draw 3.
Yep, indeed, indeed. I think Pot of Prosperity is just better. Yeah. You just can target the card you want by revealing the top 6 cards of your extra deck, of your main deck. Normal Summon Shiren it is, but...
And Normal Summon Shiren is even bigger than Inspector Border, because Pelourinho has one effect that can be forgotten.
Dogmatica Punishment!
No.
And that Dogmatica Punishment might as well out the Shiren and the Pelourinho here. Oh, but he's not even going for the Antis. He goes for the good old Titanic Clad. And in this kind of a deck, you can even use the graveyard effect of Titanic Clad.
No, you can't. There's no monster on the field that allows him because of Inspector Border. He could have just not used the Antis. He can just pop a card with this. And now he's attacking for 2,000. So the big problem here is that Havenis also runs over Inspector Border easily with 2,100 attack points.
Maybe
this is the most relevant effect in the
now as well, so that's even more monsters running over the Inspector Border from there on.
Right, because when a monster is normal or special summon, it reduces the attack points of your opponent's monsters by 500 as well. This deck has an out to everything.
There's Darkhold and Skill Drain, both cards that would have also been an out to the border, so it looks quite good here right now. And what's this next? That's Crackdown from Youri Landsman. So that guy is changing sides now. He's taking over the Rhino Heart, and he's punching for 2,000.
Does he go for an overlay now? He could actually go for a rank 4 Exceeds.
I wouldn't recommend him that, to be honest, because
yeah, true.
That Inspector Border effect is still quite powerful, and yep, he decides to put the Rhino Heart into defense position, attacking with Inspector Border,
4,000 life points,
giving it back over, and very importantly, he has another back row, because we know the one back row that has been sitting around there probably is Solemn Judgment. Yeah. And he needs something else. And you could even consider to Judgment with normal summon now.
Absolutely, because then your monster does not lose attack points. He still has, maybe he has Dimensional Prison set. We don't know it yet. I mean, we can't know that because it's not in the deck list. It is Dogmatica Punishment
for Youri Landsman.
Rhino Heart is going to get destroyed. And there is another Solemn Judgment. So once Lukas goes for another normal summon, it will just be destroyed.
This game is so simple. Youri is just trading trap card for every normal summon that Lukas has to offer, and he's probably going to go into the battle phase once more to punch for 2,000 again. And 2,000 plus 2,000 plus 2,000 is 6,000.
6,000!
So
you
it's
are
only
so good at math.
One more attack left to actually seal the deal here for Youri.
Another set card. Youri does not care about anything. He just goes for, yeah, I have protection and I have protection plus judgment.
Let's see, does Lukas have more to offer than a normal summon here, or is it again just the attempt of a normal summon?
You know what? I would have liked Lukas to set Rhino Heart at some point, because you will find more monsters that can attack over Inspector Border, but you are losing if you don't build up a defense. This is some basic Yu-Gi-Oh stuff right now. You have to consider that if you have a monster with 2,100 defense points, you're likely not to lose against Inspector Border.
That's true, absolutely. So, Lukas really, for the last time, maybe considering his options here in this game. Oh, he goes for instant fusion.
He is halving his life points.
I mean, he goes down to 1,000 life points, but on the positive note, he's actually giving himself the option to activate a monster effect, because that will be a fusion monster on board, and Youri is really considering to judgment this, I think. He doesn't want Lukas to use monster effects here.
But there's Kid Colors. Would be destroyed in the end phase, and it cannot attack, so Youri does not consider this monster a threat in this moment.
And I think that's fair. Oh, but there's Tearlaments Heartbeat.
Necro Valley, and this one is immediately judgmented. We are just slamming judgment, and now he has Salik set.
Oh no, it's for a second I thought it's Imperm.
But he
it's crime.
It's crime. Oh, because he paid the life points.
But it's double judgment for Youri
on the crime, and we have a game 3 here.
Old man says no in this case. Double no from the old man, and Youri Landsman equals the score. What a game we had here.
Wow. What a game indeed. We are getting the instant fusion off to activate Heartbeat, protected by crime. But there were 2 judgments in this scenario.
What a game. Old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Really shining once more. The stun deck with all the old cards taking one game here from Ishizu Tearlaments.
Border. The border.
Yeah, it was adding up. It was adding up. So really, old versus new, and old can still compete here in this case. And now it will all come down to that final third game, where again, Lukas, of course, will have the advantage of going first again, which is a huge advantage.
And we can check Yuri's side deck now, because he will have to have some cards for going second here. Oh, there are some.
He does. He is, first of all, bringing in Dino Wrestler Pankratops as a going second card. I don't love that versus the Tearlaments matchup necessarily, though.
Yeah, I mean, Fenrir is a little bit better. No?
Yeah, it's more of a Sprite matchup card, I would say, in general. But then after that, he has triple evenly matched, which I like a lot more. I think evenly matched is really decent. It at least baits out the crime or the Baron negate, because I'm pretty sure that Lukas is going to focus on Baron now. You want to have negates as many as possible.
You don't want to focus on Dweller in this matchup.
Not really. We saw that Dweller actually is kind of nice versus the Nutty Servant, but still I would say that Baron is most likely a little bit better, and therefore it's good. And also, you don't really need your battle phase, so sacrificing your battle phase to bait out the crime is actually quite nice, and you will always be taking that trade. And then a singular copy of Kurikara Divine Canate. I'm interested in why he only decides to run one of it, but in general it's a good card too.
There has to be a way to search this, otherwise the one-off would surprise me. I mean, there is another one-off in his side deck, which is Pankratops, but we know why he is only running that once.
Indeed.
Running 2 copies of Zombie World to win the Fluonderies matchup. This card is really now to the deck.
Yes,
and he's
but
playing triple.
We are now ready. The players are again shuffled up, so please let's get into this game 3 of our round 11 featured match.
I think Raigeki is going to play a major role in this game.
Oh, he's also bringing in the Raigeki, sure. That could also be a card here, you're right. And, yep, I think they're getting the sign that they're allowed to start. Nice little sportsmanship there. They are having a fist bump before this final game. Maybe the last game for one of those guys in the tournament, because they are playing a bubble match right here. And we're starting it off with Kaldo discarding Agido, so we will be milling cards here instantly. Just imagining milling triple Necro Valley on the opponent's side.
Yeah, I was going to say, this could be huge. Like, actually, the milling factor is helpful because you can also calculate better with the cards that Youri probably has in hand.
Let's see. Okay, there's Crackdown. Terraforming, basically one less Necro Valley. And a double Patchy.
So it is really unlikely that he has another Patchy if he sets a monster. Sharon is going to trigger
and he milled Kelbeck as well, so we continue to mill here. That's huge for Lukas, hitting that Kelbeck there as well. So there's Fenrir. That's a double Necro Valley in there. That's
Pancratops and offering to the Doomed. You said it already.
Yeah, only one Necro Valley left and not even the option to search with Terraforming anymore now. That's crazy. So if he gets to Crime or Baron, he could just negate the Terraforming. Oh no, the Necro Valley. That would be quite big. But I saw it. He has the last Necro Valley in his hand. So maybe Youri is still good to go. Maybe he's still good here. This might still be his win option in here. So we are going for Kid Kalos. Of course, Kid Kalos, as we know, is going to search. I'm pretty sure he's searching for Crime. You really want to have Crime here.
You need Crime in this scenario.
Okay,
so
searching for
maybe he already has one.
That's a possibility.
He does not, as it seems, have access to Pearl which would also be really good. You could search for a Scream and then pop your own Scream, or pop your own Kaleido Heart during your combo and then send Scream to get another trap card. So those would be really useful.
So what are we milling here now with the 8 cards we are about to mill? There's Skill Drain
would
down.
Be really strong against this deck. Heartbeat.
Also
Heartbeat milled is not great.
That's
I mean,
only
you can
7
always
cards.
shuffle it back.
Could you please mill another card? Thank you, sir.
Does he play Diviner?
Yes, we saw him actually milling a couple of Diviners already. I think he's playing 2 of them.
So it's really unfortunate
it's only
for him
one, though. It's only
that
one.
he did not mill it this time because he really wants to access this Baron.
Yep, you will need the tuner. Interestingly enough, I think he's playing Diviner, but he's not playing any Herald of the Orange.
I was going to say the same thing. We have barely seen any Diviners this event.
You mean Heralds? Yeah. We saw them in the Madolche list, but there it makes sense because you have so many more fairies. But here in this Tearlaments Ishizu deck, they are actually not running it that much anymore. Which is actually really interesting because when we looked at the lists of YCS Pasadena the last weekend, everybody basically was on it.
This is a more rogue-focused pick in the deck because you can actually answer a Dimension Shifter, but you don't want to prepare for Rogue if you want to win the entire event.
Yep. And we already saw, I think Youri has Raigeki plus Necro Valley. If Lukas will not be able to set up the gates here, he might be in trouble versus Youri Landsman and his stun deck.
So we are cutting the deck again, having a hard time cutting the deck, but this happens from time to time. We are nervous in this scenario. Youri really wants to top this event with his stun deck, and we are going to go for a Kaleido Heart. Kaleido Heart is a really sticky monster, and it's also a big one.
Indeed it is.
Which is arguably more important in this matchup right now.
Yep, it is the game 3 of their bubble match here in round number 11, so definitely where the nerves are getting to you. If nerves aren't getting to you at this point, there's probably no time you are getting nervous.
Oh, he's having Time Thief Redo. This is insane. If he picks up a trap card on the opponent's turn, he can actually shuffle back or put to the top of the deck the Necro Valley of Youri. And
but
he also has evenly matched, by the way.
Oh, he has evenly matched as well. That's crazy. But the thing is, there's Raigeki. We know there's Raigeki. So, first of all, that Raigeki is probably going to go down. And if there's no crime, then we've got to see, is he hitting a trap? Though he
is hitting
first
the
of all, hitting
Dogmatica
the Dogmatica punishment.
It is all going according to plan for Lukas now. So how many outs to this entire board does Youri have in his hand? We have seen Raigeki, we have seen evenly matched, we have seen the Necro Valley. Is this enough?
The thing is, if he goes Raigeki and that baits out the crime, then he can easily just go battle phase and resolve the evenly matched. And that would be huge for him because that does out the entire board here in that case.
Honestly, I actually would go for evenly first maybe.
Why do you think so? Because that 100% certainly outs the Redoer? Do you focus on the Redoer more maybe?
I mean, Redoer will return in the end phase either way. But you get rid of all the monsters. I think like Salik and Crime, like if there is a Salik set, Crime would be activated either way first. You don't really care about that, right? You want to get rid of all the monsters and then maybe, it depends on your hand as well, normal summon Pari.
Could be the case. We know there's only one more Pachi left in deck, but he has Nadir's Servant as well, another very powerful card. Is that going to be a card that Lukas needs to answer with Prime? He decides not to.
This Redoer could be a Dweller right now.
Yep, but it's not. It is Redoer, and that Nadir's Servant is now going to resolve. And let's have a look at the extra deck. There are a couple of different options, but he decides to go with the Entis. So I think he's either going after... Oh, he cannot go after Redoer because of Elf, so he has to go after one of the back rows, right?
That is a good point.
Yes, he is going after the back row.
What is he hitting? This looks like a spell card.
Oh, it's called by the Grave
on the Entis. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. It did its job. And I mean, this is what Called by the Grave was for, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a 1-for-1 trade in that case. It's fine. Entis still did his thing. It just got rid of the back row, even though it was negated, but it didn't really
evenly
happen.
Matched in the battle phase. We are criming
that
this.
is the crime,
absolutely.
of course.
And now, okay, we will not activate Necro Valley before we do the Raigeki, because there is a Time Thief Redo. Oh, we first of all go for
it. So of course.
There will be
mill a couple more cards.
Lucas is trying to hit another Necro Valley, but I can already promise you guys this is
not going to happen. There's no Necro Valley left in deck because
I haven't seen it. I'm just fully trusting you at this point.
I hope I didn't mistake it. We again milled double Cosmic Cyclone here, though.
And we have milled Scream.
Maybe Nadir's Servant just looked a lot like Necro Valley. Let's hope that's not the case. I'm really hopeful that Youri still has the Necro Valley here.
Yeah, there's
Necro Valley. And offerings to the Doom as well, and that might be really good here. That might actually be really good, because it could take care of more stuff that's about to come.
But what is the monster in the hand of Youri?
I couldn't tell yet. So we are actually using the effect of Caldo now. Why would we do that? What's the reasoning to exactly do it here?
To get your heartbeat back for the next turn, maybe to get a Pearl back.
But why here? Well, what's the reasoning of actually doing it right now? Because it looks like we're still at the end of the battle phase, you know?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I hear you. No idea.
Yeah, I don't know either. He just wants to secure that happening 100%, and he's searching for Shiren with the Solid. So, let's see what he can do with that.
And I also saw a purple card in the hand of Youri, so he would actually, with this monster, have protection as well. I think it is Dogmatic Punishment.
So we are first of all going to Fusion Summon though. There's the Kid colors coming down. Okay, now I understand. When he is Fusion Summoning and Fusion Summoning, it is very valuable to have that heartbeat back in your main deck.
Right.
So you're just going to be able to search it right now. So that Caldo was absolutely necessary to have access to Heartbeat again, and there he searches it. So that would again then be an out to the Necro Valley that Youri so desperately right now tries to set up there.
Very well played, and now you can actually normal summon. I mean, you can just chain Offering to the Doomed. It's a quick spell, 2 Time Thief Redoer. Maybe he's playing this card for exactly this scenario that is going to come up. By the way, I know the monster. It's going to be Ecclesia, of course.
Yeah, true, because we added it with the Servant, for sure.
We can normal summon the Ecclesia.
We are starting it off with the Ecclesia here. Interesting. He doesn't go for the Raigeki first. He maybe wants to give Lukas a chance to use the Redoer first. He maybe wants to bait out the Redoer.
Yeah. Oh, and he goes for the Fleur. This is actually a lot of attack points there already. He is out of the battle phase, so this is not going to do too much this turn. I think he's going to activate Necro Valley now. Time Thief Redoer will be changed in just a second, but we will have Offerings to the Doom answering the Time Thief Redoer effect, destroying it. Therefore, it cannot, by effect, detach the trap card to shuffle the Necro Valley into the deck, or put it on top of the deck, rather.
I mean, he could wait with the Redoer, so he actually has to activate the Raigeki now, and Lukas is thinking. I think he announced the Redoer. That's going to happen for sure, and he's considering maybe more Shufflers.
Oh, and he's summoning the Fleur-de-Lis to negate the Redoer.
That's
Perfect.
even better than Offerings to the Doom.
He does not even have to sacrifice his next draw phase. This makes so much sense.
That is actually really good. Lukas, it makes sense now that he wanted to resolve the Ecclesia first. So now the redoer cannot do anything anymore. And the whole board of Lukas gets wiped. And there's only 2 more monsters left on the board. And they are on the side of Youri. And the crowd is absolutely loving it.
And he is also having a Dogmatica punishment in hand. 3 cards for Lukas. He has the heartbeat. No, my friend. We are not doing this today. So 2 cards are being set. We know one is Dogmatica punishment. Heartbeat can get rid of the Necro Valley. Is there a Solemn Judgment? No, we know the other one is Offerings to the Doomed.
Yep.
He has not activated it.
Nope. It's Offerings to the Doomed and the other set card being
Dogmatica punishment.
Yes.
So this one could actually still go really bad for Lukas. He also has
Dark Hole for Lukas, and
Dark Hole is activated.
Down.
Now Youri is out of resources as well. What a match. Heartbeat is being activated. Hardness is discarded, and he will not have a response to the Hardness effect.
Doesn't look like it. Oh.
No, Necro Valley goes to the deck.
Yeah, that's what happens, indeed.
Hardness will resolve.
So how quickly
what can he summon though?
Again
What can he summon though? He was not able to recover all of his fusions. He cannot recover the Kid Colors. And he has Garura already. He has to summon something weird.
Dracostapalia maybe, right?
Oh, he can just chain them. Of course. Well, we have all of our extra deck cards every time, all the time in our deck.
Yep, Lukas definitely knows what he's doing. He also wants to get back the Pearl Rhino. This is actually a pretty cool way to tell your opponent what you are targeting, because you're not really moving your graveyard, but you're still showing what you're targeting very clearly. I like that a lot. Just pulling those cards up a little bit.
That is indeed true. The Dark Hole also did not do too much. Both those monsters don't really do anything on board. However, it was really cool.
Absolutely, I loved it. I love that monsters were getting destroyed back and forth. Dark Hole, Raigeki, all the OG cards coming down here in this featured match. But now it really is back on Lukas, and we know Offerings to the Doom and Punishment in a simple game state that we had last game. They would put in the work, they would be great. But here, there is so much gas that is coming from the Ishizu Tearlaments deck. So many monsters that are supposed to be summoned. I don't know whether it's going to be super strong.
And do you like Offerings to the Doomed that much? Because in a simple game state, you're surrendering your next draw phase.
Yeah, but when you have Inspector Border on board already, that helps.
Yeah, that is an advantageous game state at this point.
Yeah, but it's simple still. Yeah. It's simple. But right here, there are so many effects to be resolved for the Tearlaments players. So I think those simple trap cards, one of them being a quick spell card, maybe not the way to win it.
Do you chain Caldo? Okay, no, you don't. Could have chained Caldo to the effect of Kid Colossus and get a heartbeat again.
I like it, actually. I think I would have done that. But he wants more monsters. Maybe even wants to seal the deal right here. Maybe he already sees a line to go for game right now.
So the Kid Colossus is probably going to activate the effect Tribute itself and summon back the Kaleido Heart if it is allowed to.
And yeah, the Kaleido Heart is definitely still in the graveyard. So that would be something he could do. Yep, he's already targeting the... what means targeting? There's no targeting with Kid Colors, but...
It targets itself.
Yeah, okay, you're right. There is targeting happening, but there's no targeting for the monster in the graveyard or hand. And there is the Kaleido Heart coming back to the field. He's trying to go after the Offerings to the Doom, and Youri doesn't even activate it. He wants to have his top deck.
Wow, 5 Tearlament cards milled. Youri needs a top deck. He knows at this point I cannot win this game without anything in hand or on the field. And now Lukas is really popping off. It looks like he can be able to seal this deal.
I think he will struggle to actually go for game through that Dogmatica punishment, but still then, what is Youri supposed to top deck at that point? Like one card. This stun deck relies you on having like multiple cards that prevent you, your opponent from breaking that super powerful monster being Pachi or being the Inspector Border, but just a singular card being drawn from the top of the deck. For this deck, is kind of tough to be like a heart of the cards moment, to be honest.
The only card I can imagine would be really helpful right now is Kashtira Fenrir, to be honest.
But we already milled at least one of them, maybe even two of them.
I think we milled 2, and now we have another normal summon. This is 7,500 attack points on board already. There's still Dogmatica punishment. I know. However, Merly is activated, and I think we did not recover the Garura, so we might see a chain Keldo because Garura is dealing a lot of damage.
That would be true, but on the other end, we can also just go for Drexopalia because it would be enough damage for game anyways, and therefore I think it would also still be fine. We see Youri's also running Garura for different reasons. For different reasons, he values this card very much in his extra deck as well. But let's see whether Lukas is going to be able to go for game here in this particular instance.
One set card and a dream for Youri.
Yep, and I mean, he's going through his extra deck right now for a reason. He needs to activate the Dogmatica Punishment, and he looks what his best option to send would be.
He can send the Antis, however, Antis could only then, or Dogmatica Punishment could only then target the Rhino Heart, which is not optimal.
Absolutely not. So,
also, each of the monsters that you remove can just come back via its own effect.
indeed, yeah. That's what Youri realized as well, I think. Like, every single one of those is not really going to help when you do destroy them by card effects. So that's not really a board you want to punish.
And he's going for Muddy Muddragon, and this way he basically seals the deal against the deck, because now you cannot target the water monsters on the field, and if you target the darkness monster on the field, it will just summon itself back. This looks like its game, and Youri actually surrenders the game. Lukas takes this game 2-1.
Fantastic display of skill here from Lukas Randecker with his Ishizu Tearlaments deck. What a grindy game. Stun decks want to get into that grind game situation, but he was successfully breaking the board. He didn't have enough to follow it up, though. He didn't have a strong monster on board that would really stop his opponent from playing.
He had two strong monsters on board, but there was a Dark Hole, and they both fell into it.
They are strong in terms of attack points maybe, but you really in this deck need strong effects that really apply like properly on the field.
Always helps
border,
in Yu-Gi-Oh, by the way.
Absolutely, yeah. So that Dogmatica board was not really the game changer right there. No. But I mean, he had Dark Hole for every board he could create anyway, so it was not really that
Offerings to the Doomed did not really perform too well in this game. I mean, it would have helped against the Time Thief Redoer.
Yeah.
However, he played around it pretty well with the Flordelis. I liked it a lot.
For sure, for sure. What do you think? Like, Offerings to the Doomed. I know you're not a big fan of this card anyways, but what would be the specific card you want to target with Offerings to the Doomed? Because there must be a reason why you are exactly running this card. What would be in this metagame the card you want to target with it?
I think actually Time Thief Redoer.
Time Thief Redoer is a pretty good one, you're right. Can we come up with anything else that is just really instantly outing? I mean, you can just usually go after, it doesn't help versus Nightmare Phoenix, which, to be fair, nobody really is playing anymore. But yeah, I can't think of anything else, to be honest. I
mean, Fenrir maybe? If your opponent's having Fenrir, this could be a really big problem for your deck. It's a 2,400 attack points monster, which is a thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is really threatening.
But because I don't really agree on playing triple Offerings to the Doomed to only target Time Thief Redoer when we know that a lot of Ishizu tier players actually have cut on the Time Thief Redoer.
The card versus you is really strong. So let's say if you're playing 12 rounds versus Ishizu tier, you're going to face it 6 times.
I mean,
and people are going to make it because they know they will attach a trap.
Yeah, so most likely the journey of Youri Landsman here in this tournament ends with his stun deck. We hoped he would get one further round, and I think I'm pretty sure he will still be playing the last round, but it's quite unlikely to get into the top card with an X3 standing. I think X2-1, as we featured last round, they will be most likely safe to be in. But X3 players really have to sweat and really have no guarantee of getting in at all, and I think only a couple of them.
Few players,
Only a couple of them will actually make it in, and most likely the ones with a really, really, really good tiebreak. So I think Youri really has to say to Lukas, please, you have to win this last round for me as well, because you might bring my tiebreak up as well, so I could sneak into that top 64 as well. Might be the way to go.
I would love to see Stun in the top 64. I can't lie here.
Absolutely.
But we have also seen that the Ishizu Tearlaments deck is incredibly powerful against it. If you don't win the dice roll with Stun, then you're in for some trouble if you're playing against a really well-experienced player, because like Lukas exploited all of his options.
Yeah.
He just used every single pop, every single negate that he had, and he just played it out perfectly.
But speaking about stun, there's still a couple of other stun variants left in the tournament. Of course, I know you love that strategy as well, but there's still some Mystic Mind variants also at the top tables.
Also
we saw
some
that.
pretty cool ones, to be
For
honest.
sure,
Yeah,
I like them as well. They are pretty creative. They've done some innovative stuff, so definitely something to take note as well. They definitely are still in contention in the tournament.
No burn decks, though. They
not
are,
even bad.
I think there's one burn deck.
Also,
But they are playing Tearlaments with the Kalbeck Agido Ishizu engine. Okay, shocker, I know.
I mean, that is also some
Runic cards plus Mystic Mind, so they are trying to deck out you.
I mean, that is also a thing, yeah, but that's not the one I was talking about. We
no.
also still definitely have Mind Burn. We also still have Runic variants, just pure Runic Mystic Mind decks. Those are becoming more and more popular before the introduction of Ishizu cards, to be honest, but he is still in there fighting, so maybe he's making it to top cut as well. So definitely a couple of counter picks really to the meta game in general, and I really think they have a good shot of actually making it, because they came to this tournament being prepared for Ishizu Tearlaments, and they are playing versus Ishizu Tearlaments non-stop, so the plan somewhat works out, and I think they are really struggling versus rogue decks usually.
Yeah. This is really cool. When you know in a tournament there's one deck really dominant, then you can prepare for it, and we will hear from Lukas how he prepared for a stun before this tournament.
Hello guys, yes, I am joined here by Lukas, who has just won round 11, so congratulations. You're up against a stun deck. At what point did you realize that you were against the stun deck? Because in the first game, you were building into things like Dweller and things, which against a stun deck probably weren't the thing people were expecting. So at what point were you suddenly going, oh, I'm against a stun deck?
I think I was, as soon as you played the very first card.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think it was Pot of Prosperity. I'm not sure anymore. But it's not a card that you would play in like Tearlaments. So yeah, it was pretty soon that I realized Dweller is not very effective.
I was going to say, because people were wondering why you did that, but I suppose if you're not totally aware of what you're up against, it's probably quite a safe bet, especially with the mirror matches and things this weekend. Dweller's always a safe option. There were quite a few things. Youri went second, and there were quite a few moments where you just sort of did everything right there. Rolculus and Sprite, the Pellerino popped the Necro Valley, bringing back the Medora. Like, you had very much control over the first game. So even though you weren't sure what he was playing, were you feeling confident?
Yes, because if you can go first, set up your field, and the opponent has no response, then yeah, you're in a pretty good spot.
And then let's talk about game two, because Youri sort of set up that Inspector border. It's a difficult, and the Necro Valley. That's a difficult field to deal with. He was controlling everything with his back row and with that border control. You tried to pop the Necro Valley. That got solemned. You tried to negate that with the crime, and then that got solemned. I don't know if you could hear with the headphones on, but the crowd were the loudest they've been all weekend at that moment. What was going through your mind at that point?
I thought if he only has one Solemn Judgment, I am still in the game. I had a plan how to win it, but yeah, the second one was super strong.
Super strong. And that was you scooped at that point. Then we got into game three. You had some good mills. You were depriving Youri of one of the Necro Valleys. Then you used the Time Thief Redoer. You got the Dogmatic Punishment off the top of his deck. Called by the Grave on Entis. You were accumulating lots of ways to get around those stun options, which really happened when you Darkhold the field. You cleared the Necro Valley with Heartbeat. So you were clearly setting up for those moments throughout the duel. And then you had the amazing Raigeki, Fleur, Necro Valley led to the clearing of the Ishizu against you. But you still managed to build an amazing field off the back of that and go for game. So were you trying to remain composed, and were you trying to think through everything you could do?
You have to stay a bit composed, because if you just go all in without any thoughts, you will just lose to something like even a Mirror Force. I don't know I didn't know what he had in his back row, but I thought, well, 2 fusions were already successful. I had a level 4, so I can just summon the Moon Dragon. I think all his back row targets. So if he targets Kaleido Heart with Crackdown, that's okay. It's not very good, but it's okay. But if he has Dogmatic Punishment, he can only use it on Kaleido Heart, which revives itself, so I was pretty sure it's game. Unless it's a Storming Mirror Force, but that doesn't see very play.
Yeah, and it worked out all for the best. It seems like you managed to keep composed, got it through to the end. And now what's your current score at the moment?
I'm currently 9-2.
9-2, so that's all pretty good. You got one more round of this Swiss to play. At this rate, you're going to be in the top cut. So are you feeling confident for your last game?
Yes, but I'm not sure if I would make it with 9-3.
So you got to hope for the win.
Yes, yeah.
Obviously.
Hope for the win or hope for the tiebreak.
Well, we'll see what ends up happening. Best of luck and congratulations on winning this feature match. Don't go anywhere, guys, because we've got our final round of Swiss coming up very, very soon. But before that, we're going to do a quiz. We'll be right back.